Hey guys, it's a new year, 2021. We made it through 2020, and I want to tell you why 2020 did not suck. So unless you've been living in the middle of an Amazon jungle somewhere and you're completely detached from the rest of mankind, we know that 2020 was a difficult year for many people, and I personally have known several people who have gotten the virus, and I've known some people who have passed away from the effects of the virus on their bodies. And so in that regard, for a lot of people, it has not been a very good year. But I need to say that I don't think 2020 was that horrible of a year, and I want to tell you why. You know, there's a lot of different personalities and a lot of different kinds of people out in the world. And because of that, people respond differently to different situations. And I want you to know this is not a brag. This is not me trying to pat myself on the back or anything like that, but it is a result of decision making over the last couple years that I think has helped us to flourish a little bit more than what I know some people have during this period of time. And so again, this is not me boasting or bragging. One of the first decisions we made actually several years ago was to move out to more of a country type of area. And so we live on about 7 acres in southern Indiana, and we're surrounded by farmland. And all of our neighbors around us are pretty good people. And by neighbors, I mean people that are at least a quarter mile away. And so we live in a fairly peaceful area. That gives us the ability to not be as attached to a lot of the city type things. And I can tell you, I've lived in all areas. I grew up in the suburbs for a while. I lived in the inner city down in Louisville, Kentucky. And then we moved up into the country in Indiana. And so I've had different exposures to different areas over the years, and moving out to the country was one of the biggest things that we ever did for our own peace of mind. The other thing that we did was try to become more independent in terms of the way that we produce income. And so this is a big deal. Moving out to the country allowed us to get a lot more for a lot less money than what we were paying for before. And so for that reason, we do have a mortgage payment, but it's relatively low. And so we can get by with a lot less than what I think a lot of other people can. And I have 4 children. And so it allows us to be freer in terms of I don't have to make $100,000 a year to barely survive. And I have friends that are that way, and they just stress themselves out with monthly payments. And that's a horrible way to live. And so we have tried to get ourselves to a point our house would be paid off in the next 5 to 6 years. And so living out in a more peaceful area, financial stability and peace of mind, for me, one of the biggest things has absolutely nothing to do with financial income. And those of you who have been watching my channel for a while have probably picked up on this as you've watched some of my videos. What you do and the enjoyment you get from it is more important than the amount of money that you make. You know, keeping up with the Joneses, feeling like you always have to make more and more and more. This is a very worldly mentality, and it attaches us only to the temporal. Now, my particular worldview is based through a relationship with Christ, whereby I know there's a better eternity ahead. And so not everyone has that, because Christ has not called everybody to salvation. But I have that perspective because of a relationship with Christ. And so I don't want to be worldly minded. I want to use the gifts that I've been given and use them in a way that I can flourish and have abundance in this life, but abundance of joy, not abundance of financial gain. So if the Lord decides to add gain to that, that's fine. But that's not the primary purpose. That's not the primary goal. And so 2020 was a good year for me because I was able to develop better skills and better tools and better relationships with people because of the outlet of my woodworking business. And so that was something that was really good for us in 2020. But let me tell you the last thing, and believe me, I could come up with several more of these, but for the sake of time, the last thing that has been best for us in 2020 is family time. I've been able to be around the home more, and I have several friends that echo these similar sentiments. I have one friend who runs his own private orthodontics business, and he said the same thing, that he didn't necessarily enjoy the shutdown, but he was able to be around his family and his wife a lot more, and it caused him to rethink his priorities. And so I know a lot of people have echoed those similar sentiments, especially people with young families. And being around the family, which, again, I follow that old traditional principle, you know, right? God, family, work. That's the priority. And so God is first, living according to His Word, regularly digesting, living in the Scriptures, and then the family, and then work. And being around the family has been one of the most important things for core values, for building relationships within that nuclear family unit. And so that's been really good for us as a family as well. And I've gotten to know my little kids better. I've gotten to know their personalities better so that I know how to raise them in a way where they can flourish and where they can find enjoyment in life, and give them the wisdom and the knowledge necessary as a father to help them navigate through this course of life, which is often difficult. And so those are some things in 2020 that have been good for me, that have been good for our family, that have been good for business. What are some things for you that have been good for you in 2020? Listen, guys, I am so sick of pessimism, and I'm so sick of cynicism, so much so that I've pretty much quit posting. I'm still on a lot of my social media accounts, but so many of them are just so negative, and I get so sick of hearing negativity, negativity, negativity. But that is a big part of living in an unredeemed world. A lot of people have no hope. They have no life. They are living spiritually dead, and their only hope is what is right here temporarily on this earth. And if that's you, I would just suggest search what is the gospel and see if God may be calling you. You know, I don't often do this in my YouTube videos and be so direct and so candorous, but I think it's something that many of you need to hear. If you have a future hope and an eternal hope, there's no reason to be so pessimistic and so cynical about what is happening in this world, because the world and its things will pass away. And whatever bad circumstance there is, we know that this too shall pass. Well, that's been 2020 for me. I know everything I've said is more general in nature, but there's just some little landmarks across the year of 2020 that has actually been pretty good for me. I want to thank you all for watching. Please go ahead and subscribe if you feel so inclined to do so, and follow the channel throughout 2021. God bless you guys.